If it would ever be one, I believe the internet will be the final place where the entire semantic infrastructure and the millenary human communications architecture will collapse. Think of one of the most wholesome posts you've came across lately while scrolling the feeds on your favorite social media. Combine it with the ultimate shocking meme you stumbled upon while surfing the deep web, or that you voluntarily search for during a lonely night of online boredom, and try to grasp the feeling you're experiencing in the moment you recall it. This is how the Kawayoku Inception began. Kawayoku, it's a neologism that I created, an imperfect linguistic chassis that merged the Japanese words kawaii, adorable, and buryoku, violence. The Kawayoku Inception is a visual research and a digital archiving project that aims to analyze and keep track of online elusiveness and ambiguity, not yet easily recognizable under usual taxonomy, which intersect the aestheticization of tenderness and violence, warlike propaganda and gamification, hypersexualization and consumerism, anime and manga idioms, with gun fetishism. The Kawayoku questions the way we are used to elaborate violence in the realm of visual perception, and what are the political implications of such dissimulation and muddling mutation. The pictures here presented are part of a 32,000 files archive I've collected in the last 3 years. My project was born in 2020, and it has been quite an adventure to dive into the internet's nook and cranny and catalog, organize, and gather each category in a visual map to give that sense of direction so oftenly lacking within the internet jungle. The research takes place within those digital environments globally renowned like Facebook, Reddit, Twitch, and Twitter, and others dominated by a rampant youth like Instagram, Telegram, Discord, and TikTok. I started researching from one of the most visible aspects found of my social media feeds. Since the very beginning of my online life, I've been constantly awashed by thousands of awesome memes, unboxing videos, pink-obsessed compulsive purchasers accounts, and myriad of unnecessary but incredibly adorable collectible fetishes that reward and decorate social anxieties. In one word, the kawaii. Kawaii embodies the culture of cuteness, a growing movement and a social phenomena that thrives on the exasperation of tenderness, vulnerability, and childlike features. A culture able to produce and influence an infinite number of trends, moods, fandoms, and a variety of different online subcultures, addicted to consumption and commodified fetishism. Kawaii is now embraced by billion-dollar industries and works as a digital identity activator, which means it easily creates a sense of belonging and self-representation within specific online communities that identify themselves under the ideology of a totalitarian state of cuteness regime. Since the 70s, kawaii is one of the most prominent consumeristic cultures conceived for the masses, as it's able to absorb attention and desires and meets the most elementary needs of an era, the search for comfort and protection from an increasingly fragile human condition. By doing a research on online visual culture, it's easy to collide with certain weirdness sooner or later. This is how kawaii aesthetics started to match uncanny criteria. The more I was digging into the depth of it, the more I was stumbling upon random memes of an Hello Kitty plushie asking me to die or hang myself. Suddenly, what at first appeared rude and corrosive went incredibly sweet and mild. The internet is, of course, filled with edgelording, post-irony, and controversy, but at the same time, I had the feeling it wasn't just a weird nihilistic nuance of Gen Z humor. I found a new thriving ecosystem of alien digital fauna. This is how the epicore aesthetic I was starting from wasn't there to only fulfill the internet's desire for safe spaces, but it also extended into visual representation of sensitive topics. Traumacore is an example that employs a combination of soft and unsettling visuals to convey complex and potentially triggering issues like mental health, child abuse, and self-harm. Meanwhile, more interconnection were surfacing. Links between worldwide anime fandoms, rooted in the Japanese soft power industry, were more evident when crossing the realm of cosplaying art and gaming communities. The Japanese manga industry was immediately linked to the kawaii culture, which deeply affected gaming and e-girl subcultures. E-girl is a central theme. It's a Gen Z subculture, notably popularized by TikTok, that emerged a few years ago, that equals of being young, female, attractive, and online, existing mostly in the privacy of a bedroom. E-girl has been referred to as a massive portion of fashion industry, the future of online subculture, a stereotype, even a slur. In the earliest definition from 2009, an e-girl was used as a derogatory term on gaming sites, where a woman gamer can be threatened and doxxed for simply existing in the prevailing male gaming world. The e-girl plays around the imaginary of a contemporary Lolita on keyboards, alive only if online, dressed up in a mass-produced aesthetic, translated into anything related to the infantilization of an old body, baby voice, deflective childishness, impish attitude, draw-on freckles, that could shock, appeal, or obsess a male gaze. A recurring term encompassing the social online and offline obsession for women's body at the threshold of reality and virtuality is the waifu. The waifu word, popularized by the platform 4chan, is used to refer to a fictional girl, usually in anime and manga, that inspires male sexual attraction or even the aspiration of marrying the character. The stereotype of a waifu is a prominent figure disseminated in many alt-right online forums and incels-run Telegram channels, Discord servers, and periodic threads on 4chan/poll. Very sensitive to ban and censorship, the not safe for work subreddit Dakimakuras, body pillows with anime girl depicted on it, gather thousands of users to share their sets of pillow, illustrating very young or adult age female anime, sometimes paired with a set of rifles. As I was diving more into my research, I've infiltrated in many far-right and pro-gun online forums to collect more information on the topic. Booming tactical industries, for instance, are keen to intersect the glamorization of weapons and a strong passion for anime with a subtle tendency to emphasize on violence and misogyny aestheticization. Guns and waifus incarnate an emblematic iconography of the extreme male domination, the egomaniac power and rage of armed superiority, combined with an idealistic female imago, purified from human defects that will be otherwise unattainable in real life. One remarkable case study that can sum up this full load of intricacy is the internet phenomena named Belle Delphine, the Onlyfans' highest paid creators in 2021. Her social media accounts oftenly blends e-girls aesthetics, porn, and catgirl cosplaying modeling. She boasts the title of the greatest troll on the internet and easily attracts critique, leading her to be banned from social media for glorifying rape culture on her accounts, where she is used to hype sexual assault and softness in the same visual sentence, making cuteness, innocence, sex, and brutality interdependent objects. Both Kawaii and Belle Delphine share the common features to push to the limits the extreme aspects of a disturbing obsession for infancy and phony innocence. As back in 2015, Sebastian Masuda, a Japanese expert in cute culture, says, "Kawaii is unusual because it has the power to null evil and somehow makes things peaceful without resorting to violence." I reached the bottom of my research during 2021, when I came across the popular thirst traps used by official armies' accounts on social media. Differences in military-permeated culture and weapons glorification may vary from country to country. However, the idea of sugarcoating violence and creating visual ambiguities spreads beyond the national borders, finding common ground on the internet. What happens when cuteness meets ideological extremism and warlike propaganda? While Israeli occupation forces were brutally evicting Palestinian inhabitants of the neighborhood of Sheikh Jarrah and bombing the Gaza Strip in May 2021, social media became a useful tool to amplify the transnational solidarity, document the Palestinian struggle, and organize protests worldwide. The support for Palestine grew rapidly and resulted incredibly effective, but at the same time, millions of users were flooded with the videos of young female soldiers from the Israeli Defense Force appearing on TikTok main page or falling under the For You hashtag and TikTok main trends. IDF soldiers' average profile could be listed as follows: obsessive with self-image production, ideological narcissism, stage beauty, inoffensive aura, assault rifles wielded as decorative charms. Remember the obsession for decorations in kawaii culture? Within this environment, two TikTokers gained major attention, Yael Deri and Natalia Fadeev, respectively former IDF military police officer and IDF reservist, as 2022. The craze for Yael Deri was due to her catchy lip sync and TikTok challenge routines to deliver both soft and hard warlike propaganda contents, immortalized during government-salaried daily duties. She usually portrays herself carrying an assault rifle paired with perfectly refined nails, engaging basic dance moves a few meters away from some serious human rights violation. Her aesthetics is quite leveled out to many other IDF soldiers that can also be found collected in cringe Instagram fandom accounts, while Natalia Fadeev is more aesthetically rooted to the art of cosplaying and waifu imaginary that play a huge impact on the visual processing and the semantic reframe of violence and hypersexualized extremism. Indeed, gun waifu is one of Natalia's online aliases. I call them self-generative propaganda machines. It's the spontaneous urge to imitate and go viral that make the process last and thrives. Natalia's compulsive image production includes a high number of stage pictures in a psyop style. She makes use of cleavage to visually affirm and allege muscular political superiority, very stereotypical and patriarchal. That indeed turns out to be a desperate move to capitalize popularity and breed controversy on global justice matters. Mischievous attitude and goofy dance moves are now employed to affirm the right to defense and its honorable name to hide with candor and beauty the states of apartheid that has always been denied with extreme efforts in the past and now so smoothly deflated by the language of cuteness, which is disarmingly eloquent and so easy to understand. These connotations belong to the recent development of digital militarism, an intricate cultural process located in both online and offline practices of contemporary media strategies, which relies on spontaneous and performative attitudes of soldier lives to normalize official army propaganda on social media platforms. In a nutshell, it's how the military entertainment complex rebranded itself during the digital age. Information and communication technologies are now turned into wartime arsenals, the internet and social media into digital battlefields. This cultural phenomena can be considered as a collective ritual of showcasing everyday army life rehearsed on wartime sets to give daily performances in support of the state of violence for the sake of entertaining propaganda. Digital militarism encompasses a complex spectrum of social aspects. It favors the normalization of army presence on social media, pushing for unconventional recruiting strategies. It brings the military into the ordinary, share the everydayness of militarized projects. Social media are now retooled to brand and enhance propaganda, matching the digital moment. Traditional language of military culture is replaced by young soldier embracing warlike contents translated into social media trends, dance choreographies and self-branding to affirm their individuality as soldier as never before. Few weeks before the end of 2021, the IDF bestowed to Yelderi a first-of-its-kind award for strengthening and improving the reputation of the military police corps on TikTok. Somehow life imitates the most extreme parody of itself. Lip-syncing on duty turns military operation into a game. Lewd picture of soldiers transfigure violence into pleasure. The communication strategy of the Zionist Defense Force is irreproachable. The power of cuteness is able to manipulate and serve to erase violence accountability. As mentioned in Digital Militarism by Adi Kunzman and Rebecca Stein, social media entertainment at the service of the army has now become an extendable tool to rebrand political agendas on the altar of defense, territorial integrity, and sovereignty, in the hands of both governments and civilian users. So, how could we condemn military operation, ethnic cleansing, and brutal dispossessions under apartheid state if the perpetrator is represented by proxy by the infantilization of its harmless, inoffensive, cute army? TikTok videos differ from any long-length documentaries on World War II or any of the thousands of YouTube wartime video footage. As we consume each of these short videos in our own private dimensions, we atomize ourselves, surrounded by random bits of violence that our perception can barely elaborate, since its original correspondence to the archetype of violence we were used to have been adulterated. Our speed of consumption is proportional to the pace of our own visual metabolism, which is proportional to the speed of each TikTok 30 seconds video. Why is researching on Kawayoku so crucial? My goal is to analyze cuteness as a lens to an undermining reality and a source of feasible strategic and geopolitical power. The link between digital militarism, online violence aestheticization, and the process of kawaiification of life is uneven, discontinuous, elusive, as it keeps evolving undercurrent. The kawayoku might simply pass as accidental weirdness, usual internet cringe, isolated cases in the hands of governments, armies, and a post-irony generation, or fleeting events without any larger consequences. But social media like TikTok counts a daily engagement of 13 to 20 years old average users, permanently overstimulated and yet unprovided to analyze such intricacy and nonsense hype. Will we be able to develop critical tools to recognize political processes through the complexity of volatile aesthetics, while overwhelmed by systematic disinformation and post-truth nightmare proliferating on public, accessible, and worldwide popular digital platforms? Possibly we cannot conceive violence immune to the aesthetical and political implications. The current process of online violence detonation can easily generate reality misconceptions. It creates multiple interference in reading and understanding the depth of historical facts, undermining human perception and existential needs, as for instance, gaining pleasure and satisfaction from misleading and indirect representation of violence. The kawayoku creates imbalances within a basic visual grammar. Pleasure and cuteness act as a softener of public opinion and moral concern on the matter of war crimes. It owns the power to influence political awareness, collective behaviors, and personal moods. The consequences are not merely gripping on single user/civilian imagination. They are to be found on a whole generation decision-making ability, such as voting, participating in public debate, critical discerning, consciously pondering, boycotting, or pursuing a career in the army, accept or decline digital platforms' propaganda-embedded terms of conditions. Quoting former US Army veteran and researcher David Noel, while people debate what's real and what's fake, the real psyop in the normalization of military recruitment through social media, e-girl army influencers undermine the reality and the history of military while changing our conception of what it means to be a soldier. The ultimate question that was an obsession ever since the beginning of my project is, should we start reconsider what was once perceived as violent, now might be welcomed as desirable?